Yes, John, we are in the offices of Professional Pride Realty. Gorgeous facility here in Northfield. Man, oh man, I'm going to hand the microphone over to our host today. A big thank you and applause goes out to Pete Mergens. Thank you. And Pete just recently had a knee replacement, right, Pete? You're getting along pretty good. I mean, after just 3 weeks, he's got a little bit of a limp, but man, tremendous progress.
I did. It was a very unique experience to go through, but a good one nonetheless.
Yeah, I've been told by my friends who have had it done that the rehab is not fun by any stretch.
It's not been too bad to date, but I think I have a ways to go yet.
Sure, but congratulations on that. And
thank you.
And you got another one coming up, I guess, right?
Yep. Yeah, early December we're going to do the other knee. So,
had that done right here in town?
Actually, I didn't. I went to a specialist up in St. Paul.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome that you're getting along so well. Thanks for sponsoring our program each and every month, and thanks for hosting us today in your beautiful facility.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
What's the specific address here?
It's 203 3rd Street West in Northfield.
And it's just off Highway 3.
That's correct, on the northwest side of Highway 3 and Highway 19.
And the chamber is right next door to you.
Yep, we're pretty fortunate to have them right next door to us.
So Todd Bornhauser is the president of the chamber, and Lisa Peterson, who's the tourism person here in Northfield, is with us today as well. We only got a couple minutes before we take our market break, but again, we want to thank Pete for sponsoring the show and for hosting us today.
It's my pleasure, absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the housing market here. I was chatting with Pete before he hit the airwaves. There are lots of realtors in Northfield, so we're going to talk a little bit about that when the show continues. But first of all, Lisa, what's the latest on the movie, I guess?
We have a movie premiere coming up next week, Thursday, November 3rd, at the Northfield Middle School in the auditorium. 6:30 p.m. we're going to have a little bit of red carpet VIPs, and at 7 we're going to be showing the movie Love Always Santa. It's the world premiere, so we're very excited about that.
And a young lady from the Twin Cities is in it, right?
Yes, Isadora Swan. This is her first movie, and she is from the Twin Cities, and she will be joining us along with her family.
At the middle school?
At the middle school, yeah.
Oh, cool. So I can get her autograph.
Absolutely. We all can.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any movie star autographs, and she's a movie star now, right?
She is. She definitely is.
I know
I think she'll be in quite a few more productions after this.
You've seen it?
Yep. It's a great movie. It's super cute and adorable and everything you would think of in a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Is it a tearjerker?
It is. Ask Todd.
Did he cry a lot?
I had to give him the Kleenex box at one point.
Oh, my. Todd.
He's a sensitive soul.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are some funny moments in it too.
There are. It's very cute, and it got me excited for Christmas already.
Was it written by a local person?
No, it wasn't. It was written by a team of writers, and actually one of the writers is the director Brian Hertzlinger, and then his writing partner Jay Black. They wrote the movie.
It is raining lightly here in Faribault, Minnesota. We are visiting with Lisa Peterson, who's Northfield's tourism director. Boy, that's a cool job to have for the city of Northfield, I would assume, Lisa.
You assume correctly. It is a cool job to have. I love doing what I do, and I love being able to brag about how great our little town is.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And you have a lot of things to promote. We just talked about the movie. Of course, the Feet of Jesse James Days is the largest all-volunteer celebration in the state of Minnesota.
Yep, that's also correct. We get about 100,000 people in during the weekend of Defeat, and so our town is busting at the seams at that point. But it's a lot of fun, and the committee does a fantastic job of putting the festival together. So.
And this past year, you had the challenge of dealing with some flooding at the exact same time to show the resilience of this community. It went without a hitch.
It really did. We held out until the last minute to move some of the events around, just to make sure we actually really had to. But I think that having the carnival down at the Kmart parking lot, that worked really well. We moved some the cars around at the car show, and just a few minor adjustments with the busing, and it went off without a hitch. It went really, really well.
In fact, I do believe you may have found some other changes that you might incorporate next year because of it, right?
Perhaps. I
know
don't
you're not given the situation, but I mean, I think that could happen because it really worked out very well. From what I hear.
It was a great event, so we're very proud of that.
And you got two of the best liberal arts colleges in the nation right here on both sides of the river.
We do, yep. So we have a very productive educational scene here. We have great schools, we have great theater and arts, and we're just really, really blessed.
You certainly are. So a lot to promote here in Northfield. Todd, what's happening in the chamber these days?
Well, we've got obviously the movie premiere that's going on. We just finished up all of our candidate forums, and so all of those are online that you can go to our website and pull up to see our state legislative candidates, school board, city council, and mayor. So small crowds that attended, but that was not necessarily the important part of it. It was really making sure that we could get those videotaped and have those that the residents could go back and play those at their convenience.
So AAUW, I know, sponsors the Faribault ones. The chamber sponsor these, or?
Chamber, along with our media partners, KYMN Radio and the Northfield News. So we had a panelist of three, which included myself, that asked the questions, and we ranged anywhere from about 10 to 12 questions for city council and the school board, up to about 20 questions for the mayoral candidates, because there were just only two of those. So, I thought it was a great experience. We've heard a lot of positive comments about people who've had the opportunity to watch them, and there's a little cost to doing that, but we feel it's well worth the value in spending the money.
Yeah, well, you hear a lot about the presidential election, and sometimes the local races get overshadowed because of that, right?
Well, and what's really critically important for our business leaders is that the business community and our residents is that, the decisions that are made locally and at the state level have much greater effect than what happens at the national level. And there isn't the soft money that comes in to do commercials for the local mayor race, the local city council race, the local school board race, and even, for the most part, even our state candidates. There's not a whole lot of money that comes there. So you're not seeing those negative ads that we all want to go, we've had enough of. So how do you get that information, and how do you find out what differentiates the candidates from one another, and their views, and what they want to do with your local schools or your local city or at the state level. So I think it's really important that there are forums out there, and especially if they're taped, then people can watch those and they can sit down and listen to an hour and a half conversation, asking questions and answers, get a little bit better idea of what those candidates really stand for, what they're looking to do.
So your panel asks the questions. You don't take questions from the crowd, or?
We do not take questions from the crowd. There's a couple reasons. Obviously, on the mayor candidate, city council candidate, we had 60 questions. We could have asked questions for hours.
Sure.
So I really don't necessarily need other questions out there from the audience. And the second thing is because it was sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce and our media partners, we were able to kind of really formulate the questions and really keep that emphasis really on areas that would concern economic development and business. I'm sure there's other forums that might look at a different path, and that's fine. I mean, each forum has, depending on who's hosting it, is going to have their bent or what they're wanting to ask. And we just feel it's, if I don't have to ask questions, take questions from the audience, then I'm not having to screen those questions, and we're getting stuff that, questions that maybe don't make sense or, have an agenda on them.
Sure. But you were able to touch a wide gamut of issues, as you just mentioned. 60 questions, probably delved into agriculture and all of it.
We delved into things like economic development. We talked a lot about the comprehensive plan and projects here and how they rank those. Some questions about civility on the council. I think that's one of the things that, especially here in this community, how do we get people to get together? How do we get people to work better? And the perception of, is it difficult to do business here in Northfield, to either expand your business or to attract new businesses? And what do we want to do for development of land? So, again, I think really more on economic development and then the relationship between city council and the mayor and the city administration.
Yeah.
Those questions don't necessarily have to be asked of our school board candidates, because that board seems to function very well. And in fact, I was very impressed with interviewing those, their answers to questions, almost as if it scared me that maybe they had gotten my list beforehand, because they did an outstanding job. One would answer, someone would elaborate on the other end, where that as a board functions very, very well.
Well, Northfield's known for having a very good public school system.
Yes, we're very, very blessed, and there's not only do we have a great school system, but then we have a great community that expects that as well. And I think that's critically important. It's not a community that doesn't have high expectations. You've got two great liberal arts schools here, so there is a real emphasis on higher education as well. What we need to be looking at is those students that don't necessarily want to go to college, or maybe not adapted to be successful. What other options are available out there, and how do we fill some of the workforce needs that we have, especially in the trades? And so how do we get students exposure to that? And how do we convince parents that if Johnny or Susie wants to be a plumber or HVAC or work in manufacturing, that those are very good jobs out there, can be high paying as well. So,
You want to touch on the fundraiser coming up, or does Lisa want to touch on that?
We'll talk a little bit about, we're here busy planning. We've got our first inaugural fall gala that the Chamber's doing as a fundraiser. Beyond Bourbon Street Spirits and Spirits Ball, which is on Friday, October 28th. So it's here at the end of the week, and really looking forward to a great event. We've got it starts at 6 o'clock with a social, and then we do a dinner. We'll have a live auction, silent auction, a wall of wine that we'll raffle off, and then we've got jazz band and some gaming tables. So a real fun evening. We're trying to create the premier social event of Northfield, so we should be able to get that tagline right here after the 28th, after everybody has a great time. You can still get tickets if you want to come. You can go on the Chamber website and register for to do that as well. The cost is $65 per person, and we have 150 people already signed up. So for an inaugural event, we blew our budget by 100%. So we were very, very happy with the numbers that we've got turned out, and it sounds like it's going to be about mid-60s on Friday. So the weather should be really nice as well.
Is this a costume ball?
It is not a costume party. We've done, when I was up in Lakeville, we did a gala for about 15 years that I was up there, and there was always that time of, oh, hey, it's almost Halloween, let's do a costume party, and everybody always finally said, yeah, sounds like a great idea, would you get dressed up? Well, no, and so we've always kind of stayed away from that, but it's, everybody, their ticket this year is a mask. So yeah, we've kind of doing a little bit, but again, just a great opportunity to get dressed up and go out and have a great time.
Yeah, and you don't have to be from Northfield to attend, I would assume.
Don't have to be from Northfield to attend. Just have to register, get a ticket, and then bring either your checkbook or a credit card for all those great silent and live auction items we're going to be.
I do love that flyer. It's awesome.
That was done by All Means Graphics, so yeah, they did a great job with that. A little scary, but I think I'll look a little bit better in my tux on Friday night. Okay.
Well, there you go. He's a skeleton. And then they have a skeleton, too, for the lady in a formal dress. A skeleton. It's awesome. I love it. Anyway, we're going to take a little break here from our sponsor, Professional Pride Realty, and we'll come back to Professional Pride Realty here in Northfield as AM Minnesota continues. AM Minnesota continues from Professional Pride Realty. This is a beautiful building just off Highway 3, and I was talking to Pete Mergens from Professional Pride Realty. Thanks again, Pete, for having us here today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Very nice. They got me a nice glass of water and everything here at Professional Pride Realty. Really appreciate that. I'm drinking some delicious Northfield water. It's very, very good.
We do have very good water here.
Well, you got the river right here. I would hope you'd have good water. So anyway, dealing with flood issues, I'm sure in the realty business is a real pain.
It certainly can be. It does seem to creep up from time to time when we have some heavy rains here in southern Minnesota. And oftentimes, even the best of houses can have water in a basement as a result of it because, you know, landscaping and things settle over time, leaves collect in gutters, just certain conditions lend to, you know, once every 10 or 20 years something happening. So yes, it does creep up.
And I would guess that's one of the things you want to ask about when you're purchasing a home.
Most definitely. The disclosure laws require that the seller fill out a very lengthy disclosure statement, but you know, there is a good case in point where someone might be in a house for 20 years and 10, 15 years ago they had one of those crazy incidents that they had a little bit of water in the corner of the basement and they never had a problem since. So you know what, sometimes those things get overlooked or forgotten about.
Yeah. We were talking before going on the air about the number of realtors here in Northfield and how much competition there is, and that means you have to be on your game, Pete.
We do. It's actually a real privilege to be owning and operating a real estate company here in Northfield. We have excellent realtors here in all the companies that work here. So it like I said, it's a very much an honor for us to take part in this town.
What's the housing market like here?
Well, it's pretty strong. It is a unique marketplace as it relates to the rest of the state, the Twin Cities in particular. But I just pulled some numbers in preparation for our show today. And just as an example, year to date for 2016 over last year, 2015, we're down in new listings. We've had 316 new listings so far this year. Last year we had 340, so that's about 7% below where we should be right now. And the reason that matters is because it affects the amount of inventory we have, the choices that buyers have. So it's very limited right now. On the same token, closed sales year to date are up 10.9%, 254 homes we've sold so far to date versus 229 last year. So that's a very positive thing. We have a very strong marketplace here. We just don't have a lot of inventory, and that actually is a trend not just here in Northfield, but in our state and also across the country. We have very low inventories.
Well, I did read that the new generation coming up is not, the American dream is not to own a home with a couple car garage.
Well, actually, that's correct, and it's changed. We actually are at the lowest home ownership in many years. I think the meltdown affected a lot of people. It affected the way people think about things. For many years we were taught that our home was, put everything in our home because that's going to be our nest egg, our golden parachute, if you will, into retirement. And what the mortgage meltdown taught us is that that's not necessarily true. It's still a very, very good investment. Please don't get me wrong, but it's important to keep your eye on the ball and know where you're putting your money in your investment.
Yeah. The number you gave earlier and the inventory being down, do you think that might be a reflection of people just waiting to see what happens in our election?
You know, that's one theory that's being bantered about. But I do think it still relates back to the loss in value since the mortgage meltdown. We have certainly climbed a long way back from where all of our values were. But I think it's more of a realistic look at what our values are. We still see, you know, as an example, up in the Twin Cities, we're still building at a record pace up there. We don't have that here in Northfield. And it's hard to really determine what the reason is behind that, but it is very expensive to build right now.
Well, I do know, for example, you talked about the meltdown. Lonsdale had some major housing built. They sat with empty homes, so it's probably a good thing that you don't have new building if you don't have people to buy those homes.
That's correct, and it really is different from each community, and that's the thing to keep an eye on. So much of what we see on news media, whether it be television, radio, or on our smartphones, the things that we're reading are not always true to what's happening locally.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the insight.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
So if people are thinking about having a home with close proximity to the Twin Cities, I'm assuming that your taxes here in Northfield and your housing costs in general are much cheaper than anything up in the metro. And look how close you are to the metro.
Generally speaking, we are a little bit less, but it's an exceptional place to live. I can tell you firsthand. I've been here 15 years myself, and it's just a dream to live and work in this community. So it's a wonderful opportunity for people who are looking for a change.
Yeah, a great mix too. You've got industry here, obviously, with Post and with Sheldall and some of the others.
Yep, absolutely.
Here in Northfield, and obviously we talked about the schools. So Lisa, before I leave, I need you to summarize again about this event at the Northfield Middle School. Times, is this it's totally free?
It is a free event. We are going to be accepting donations, either monetary or non-perishable food items for the Northfield Food Shelf. So if you want to bring those things along with you when you come see the movie, starts at 6:30, red carpet, and then we'll be showing the movie about 7 o'clock when everybody gets settled. And afterwards we'll just have a little reception and everybody can talk about how great the movie was. And I can tell you from seeing it, there are a lot of familiar faces in the movie. So I encourage everybody to come out and view it with us. It'll be a really good time.
How much the movie was shot here in Northfield?
Probably about 85 to 90% of it, I would say. It's mostly Northfield.
Okay, people will recognize all the spots here in Northfield.
Absolutely.
And when does it air?
On the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel on November 6th at 8 p.m. Central. It airs, and then, I don't know what else, I don't know other times. I just know that one.
Yep, that's the Sunday before the election day.
Correct.
So you can get all your tears out in this movie before, some of you may be crying election night. I don't know. None of us know, right? Well, I'm sure some people aren't too excited about the race, however it ends up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So anything else, Lisa, that you'd like to get the word out on before I boogie?
No, that's about it. That's about my most exciting thing that's happening.
That's okay. Todd, anything else you wanted to touch on before I head
Well,
out?
just real quick, we've got Small Business Saturday, which is November 26th.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So that'll be very, very important for small retailers. And again, we really stress to be local, buy local. And I'll take one shot. Is that you don't see Amazon on the back of jerseys. You don't see Amazon sponsoring programs. You don't see Amazon banners hanging out at the ball fields.
It's true.
What you see is your local businesses. And so, yeah, it might cost a couple dollars more, a couple pennies more to buy it local. But those dollars go back into your community. I can't stress that enough. So, again, we really celebrate Small Business Saturday right after Black Friday. And then we've got Winter Walk coming on Thursday, December 8th. And that was the Southern Minnesota award for the best holiday event in Southern Minnesota.
Okay.
So we're going to pat ourselves on the back on that. And
that's what this movie's based on, right? That
Correct.
Winter Walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's even a reindeer that wanders around town. He's a pretty famous guy. So,
Well, I got a boogie. Thanks again to Pete for having us here at Professional Pride Realty. Last year they were named the Business of the Year here in Northfield. That's pretty cool. Professional Pride Realty. Todd Bornhauser, the president of the chamber. I salute Todd. And Lisa Peterson, the tourism director. That's today's edition of AM Minnesota.